So you did this dissertation. How did the dissertation and the research inspire, if it did inspire, the archives that you started?
So what happened was over the course of doing this research, I got so interested in maps because I really think maps are so critical in explaining why it is that identities like Palestinian flourish in history. Because if you really think about what a Palestinian identity is, it's an identity based around a place, Palestine. And that place, Palestine, is so large that you and I cannot see it with our own two eyes. We cannot stand up on a mountain and gaze down and see all of Palestine, right? We cannot invite a Palestine into our home and see Palestine like we could with our family, right? We cannot see Palestine the same way we could see a village or a town. Palestine doesn't really have any physical manifestations like a religious identity, right? If you're a Muslim or a Christian, right, they're physical manifestations. There's a church or a mosque, right? There's symbols, there's a cross, or there's a crescent, right? So all of these other identities, like a religious identity, like a city-based identity, they have, I think, more tangible things in the real world that give those identities meaning and purpose and structure. And so I think a Palestinian identity needs all of those same things. And I think maps serve such a critical piece of this Palestinian identity, as I think it serves a critical piece in really any identity based on a place, a large place like Palestine. And so that was ultimately the reason why I started collecting all of these maps digital, right? Because I'm just working in libraries and archives, and I'm just photographing these maps. And it just occurred to me at some point that like these maps were like one of ones. They're just totally inimical, rare one of ones that are buried in atlases published in the 19th century. They could just be one-off maps in archives that are not digitally available anywhere. They could be maps published in books. They could be maps that I bought or found in a bookshop in a place like Istanbul or Jaffa or Tel Aviv or Jerusalem. So I started collecting all of these maps and for my research. But then at some point realized that I feel like there should be broader interest in these maps. Like some of them are aesthetically very pleasing. They're very unique. They illustrate very unique aspects of the demographic history of Palestine, or the geological artifacts of Palestine, perhaps even the other aspects like the political administrative units of Palestine, right? So all of these maps are telling us all of these interesting things about Palestine. And so it just seemed, as a person who loves sharing and likes being open with sources and just generally loves maps, I just wanted to share them with the world. And so that was really I would say the origins of the archive. And I think at some point I realized, well, why does this have to be just limited to maps? Why don't I also share rare documents that I found, manuscripts that I photographed, just archival documents that I think are very interesting and relevant to the history of Palestine and the broader Middle East, as well as things like newspapers that I've digitized. So ultimately, it has turned into a larger digital collection of manuscripts, maps, documents, and other archival materials.
Mhm.